block or an identity enhancement that needs to happen. How many of you guys know that you have exactly what you deserve in your life? I know. Let me re-say that, because sometimes that's just not a fun one to say, right? Like, it's like, you have the exact amount of money that you believe that you think you should have. You have the exact quality of life that you think you should have. And you have the exact quality relationship or lack of a relationship that maybe your mommy told you was realistic. And then you're out there and you're forging away, trying to create this next level you, right? That's such a great name for a program, Next Level You, isn't it? Such a good name for a program. And you're out there trying to create that next level you, and guess what? You have just the perspective of your own reputation, what you have on yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you believe certain things about yourself, and those certain things that you believe about yourself are the reason why you take action or don't take action. How many guys think it would be absolutely insane to clear your schedule and work on something that probably would never come together? Would that be insane? Put yes in the chat if you believe that would be insane. Like, if I say clear your calendar and spend an entire day of your life, which is your legacy, and just clear your day, but that thing is never going to come together. So I want you to work on it though all day long. It makes no sense. See, when we set these insane goals for ourselves, we've never been there before. We've never been there before. I mean, there might be some of you guys who truly believe in your heart that you can create a next level goal that just like rocks your world. But if you really believe that you can create it, like really believe, you're probably playing a safe game. When it's a game, when it's a goal that is just so unbelievably big, I don't even know if it's scary. It might, for different reasons, it scares you. It might scare you because you don't want to look crazy in front of people you know. How many of you guys are like that? You're like, there's some big goals in your space, and you kind of like, you feel a little nuts. If I share this with people online, they're going to judge me, or they're going to think I'm crazy. Or if I definitely share it with people that I love, they're going to be like, you ain't ever done that before. Why you think that's going to happen? It doesn't happen to people like us, right? And so, am I right or am I right? Okay, so let me do a quick poll. How many of you guys are afraid because of a public announcement? You don't want the public to think different? Put the word public in the chat, right? How many guys think you're worried about a little bit about what the public might say about you? And so put the word public in the chat if you actually really announced a big audacious goal. And how many of you guys, it's someone personal? Put personal if it's someone personal. It's someone personal, right? So, okay, so true story. Walking through it right now. I am a recovering, let's call it I'm going to say recovered. I'm a recovered people pleaser. And I always like to see people happy. It really takes a lot of energy and a lot of courage on my side to be interruptive. And I have to be in my job. It is like, I'm telling you, some of you guys, you're either working with someone who won't stop talking, or you're the person who won't stop talking about what's not working. And you need to be interrupted, right? And so there are moments in my career as a coach that I have got to be interruptive. And there's a lot of people who think that comes easy to me because they have an identity on me, which this whole training today is about identity. They have a belief about me, and they have classified me as somebody who's bold. But I'm telling you, I was the girl, and some of you guys know this, I was the girl that used to hide when a stage came. Like, I never wanted to speak on a stage. And so, but now behind closed doors, we're going through a remodel, which is coming along, thankfully, in Puerto Rico. And no kidding, something that a contractor will tell you will take 2 weeks often can take 2 years in Puerto Rico. Nobody wants to renovate. It's a real big thing. Like, it's no joke. You have people that you hire that don't have contractors licenses. Like, there's just so much giving up the people pleaser to make sure, like, can I see your contractor's license? Can I, just stuff that you would feel weird about normally calling somebody on their credibility. You guys following me? Think about that for a second. When you have to call somebody out on their credibility or ask for proof, it's not a comfortable thing to do. Am I right? So long story short, we started our construction. It was not construction, but renovation. And it was supposed to be done in a few weeks. And we went away and we came back and it wasn't even close to being done. In fact, we had no doors on our house. We came back to Puerto Rico and like the doors were just all open because they didn't close. Like they didn't actually fit together to close. Isn't that wild? So I'm like, okay, so we're gonna go. Now they're fixed now. So if you're a criminal out there and watching us right now, you ain't getting in the house. You missed your window because the doors got all taken back off and re-figured out and they work now. But we had to sleep for a few days with doors open because we couldn't lock the doors. And when I watched videos from California, I saw tarps up. Like there were just tarps up as all the doors in the house were gone because we were baking new doors and making them black. Anyway, long story short, my kitchen is hilarious right now. Like my kitchen was painted inside, we painted inside the cabinets black and the outside is a really beautiful glossy white. So we went, took a cloth and just wiped some dust out with a cloth and the paint peeled. Like that, you can't make this stuff up, okay? The paint peeled, okay? So like, I don't know about you, but there was a day in my life I would have been a raving lunatic with something like this. Like I paid them like $20,000, you know, the whole deal was going to be like $70,000. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but still $20,000 is like, I have new toilets, but everything but the doors and the toilets needs to be redone. And I'm not trying to call somebody out, but I'm trying to say that I kind of knew better. Right? Like I knew better, but it's really hard because I didn't want to insult anybody in the Puerto Rican culture. I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, it's tough because sometimes we don't even see ourselves the way other people see us. Does that make sense? Like sometimes we don't even, it's like other people see us in a way and we're like, what? I don't know why you're so mad at me for something. Like here's all the things that I did and I'm a good human being. Like I'm clean, right? And then you turn around and you're really short or triggered with somebody or, you know, or in my case, I didn't use my voice and say, no, that's like, I'm sorry you want to be prepaid everything, but like, I mean, I did a little bit of that, but I didn't do it to the level that I should. Does that make sense? And I knew it. And so that's an identity thing. And the only reason why I'm so willing to talk about these things online, when I was taught to be a speaker or mentor or coach, I was taught to share your success stories and use stories of the way past when you failed so that people can find you relatable. But like, for God's sakes, don't talk about imperfections now. And I just don't think that that's correct. And I will share something with you. I have an incredibly high close ratio, meaning that if I make an offer, a lot of people buy. And I'm telling you, it is not because of the perfect words. It has everything to do with consistently going live, sharing my life, but also like I have a whole curriculum for this week, right? Like I literally have a whole curriculum for this week. I don't just turn on the live and roll. By the way, here's all the KPIs for different divisions in my company. They're all standards for customer care, standards for accounting, standards for the coaching department. One of the standards for the identity of our customer care department is they are going to be rated on owning a problem that comes in and not forwarding an email for somebody else to handle it. Because what happens in my company is my top leaders inside my company get inundated because other people just push them the decision making. So whether that's our top leaders need to empower other people in the company so that they can rise up, or the other part of the company needs to just rise up, right? But you have to create identity standards around things. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself, right? I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself. And so the first question I have for you is, what is it that you want? right? What is it that you want? Why on? What is it that you want? Write that down. And then the second question, and if you're driving or something, just say it out loud because it helps to hear yourself say it out loud, right? And if you write what you want, you're like, okay, like I want to make money. You cannot track that. Okay, like if I wrote a Facebook ad and sorry, if I wrote a Facebook ad and said, hey, if you want to make more money, click here and let's talk. Nobody's coming. Okay, so it needs to be more specific. If you want to make $10,000 a month as a musician, or you want to make $10,000 a month as a coach, or you want to stop fighting with your spouse. Click here, let's talk, right? So it's like, okay, build a 7-figure business, right? So go in the chat, you guys, and let us know real quick. Go in the chat. What is it that you want? And by the way, part of not being scared is to just put it out there, right? Some of you guys said, I'm kind of embarrassed, or I've got some blocks around sharing any of my desires publicly because I don't want the public to, judge me. Face it. Because unless you risk embarrassment or risk judgment, like you have to be willing to stand in front of a room. Like if you're like a shaman or like a new age person and you're standing in front of a bunch of Christians or Catholics, you need to be able to say, this is what I believe. And Christians and Catholics, like if you're standing around a bunch of people who are like, okay, like we don't call God we don't call God, we call him the universe. And you can't say, I actually absolutely disagree with that. Like God created the universe. God has a name. Do you know what I mean? Like, or has some names. My point is that if you can't do that, then you should just close your business. Because if you think that your struggle is from not knowing how to do something, I'm telling you, your struggle is actually being more of who you are and your real identity, and being willing to own it all. And being willing to say the next question, which is, how long do you believe it will take to get that want? So the first question was, what is it that you really want? Right? Like what's the thing that you're kind of embarrassed about in some way, publicly or privately with people you know? You're a little bit embarrassed about saying it. And there might be 1% of you that aren't, but most of you, there is some level of this. Okay, got it? So then how long do you think it's going to take for you to get that? Write that down. How long do you think it's going to take for you to get that? Okay, for you guys who are saying that like you want to pay off debt, I'm going to shift you guys. Okay? I want to shift you guys. I want you to create a slush fund goal. Like I want to put $2,000 a month into a slush fund. I want to put $500 a month into a slush fund. I want to put, get a slush fund goal, and you should pay yourself first before you pay your debt, and then start paying your debt off, because you need a nest egg. And I know it's counterintuitive, but I'm telling you it's important. Okay, so pay yourself for like where you're not allowed to go take that money and go on a vacation until you at least have like $50,000 in the account. Okay, and even then some, I can honestly tell you, I'd rather you go have a picnic than go on a vacation if you don't have at least $50,000 in the bank. Because the truth is that you need to be thinking about, what do you invest in that will create passive income? I don't mean invest in like a stock that creates something explosive, and I'm not your financial advisor. But the biggest regret I have in my entire life is buying frickin' BMWs when I couldn't afford to like eat, when I was eating top ramen. I still had convertible BMWs that I somehow paid the monthly on. Do you know what I mean? And I wish that I would have taken that monthly and would have had somebody like me in my life that said, you know what, Shanda, go drive a frickin' Pontiac or a Hyundai, or you know what I mean? And I know some of you guys drive those, which is great, but I should have driven one of those. And I should have taken the money with the desire that I wanted with the BMW, and I should have put the difference in the bank, into my slush fund. And then I should have taken that and I should have went to investment classes, and I should have found an investment that created passive income. Do you know what I mean? Like I should have been asking questions like, what are all the ways that you can create passive income? By the way, that's a great Chat GPT question, right? Like go and figure out how to take care of your financial future. What are all the ways I can create passive income? And then start studying it. Go to groups. Home study programs suck. You know what? They're awful, right? They're awful. I have them. They suck. You know why they suck? Because nobody does them. It's not that the content sucks. I just don't know anybody that is that disciplined. That's why I've got a goal, like every day, I've got 30 minutes on my calendar. I must study a home study program. I must. And it is so much easier if somebody's doing a freaking live like this, because I can show up to the live. It's just easier because there's more energy here than watching this on a replay. Am I right or am I right? Right? And so get into a meetup group, association, or something around your passive income and go get it in you so that you will make money to be able to put into those things. You just will. Okay? Okay, so how long do you believe it will take for you to get your biggest desire? And then I want you to question that. Do you think anybody has done it quicker than that number you put down? I'm just curious. Just from your educational, like, do you think anybody's done it quicker? Look at what you really, really want. Look at how long you think you should take to get there, like what's going to be realistic for you. Do you think somebody else has done it quicker? If the answer is yes or definitely, I'm going to encourage you to start working on your identity. Because somehow you got it wired as if it should take longer or it should be different, or maybe it might even be impossible. And there is no product, program, or service that's going to fix that in you. You have to own it because you own your identity and you've got to shift that. I'm going to work on the board in a second. I got one more question for you. What kind of person do you believe? What type of person? Maybe you know somebody, which would be even better. But do you know somebody who's created the result that you want? If so, write down what you think about them. Like, why do you think they got that? Like, what is it about them? Right? Like, what is it about their character, their habits, who they are? What is it about them that had them create that result? Write that down. If you don't have somebody who's created your result, then one of the things you should be working on in 2024 is getting into associations, masterminds, associations. You know, you need to be around people who are getting the results that you want, because that's why proximity works. Okay? So what kind of person do you think you will have to be in order to get that goal? Okay? So I have my goal in my head right now. And because I don't want this to be about me, what I'm very, very clear about is that I need to be more connected to my team. Okay? I need to really be coaching them on their vision inside of our company, but their vision outside of our company, right? Like I need to connect on standards more often. And I don't mean standards like they're not doing a good job. I mean standards like we're all going in the same direction, right? So what do I need to be willing to do? I need to be willing to be able to get on some leadership calls each quarter. Does that make sense? I need to be willing to do that. Okay, like it needs to be a non-negotiable for me. What else do I need to be willing to do? I need to be absolutely willing to hold the standards, which Teresa and I are already met today. There's a software that creates KPIs, creates quarterly goals in, and we're building that out. And then we're meeting on Monday so that we can look at those KPIs and they measure it in every single department in the company. So the team always knows where they are on their KPIs. So they know if they're working or they're not working out, right? Should they be in a different role? Because I will tell you, everybody always thinks that they should, like, I don't know why I'm not in shape. I eat so healthy. And it's like, yeah, but do you really? Like, do you track your food? right? I track my food. I eat like salads and strawberries. Okay, well, maybe your epigenetics say you need meat and you're vegetarian, or maybe your epigenetics say that you get exactly, Esteban. We have blind spots. So if we're doing everything right, not getting the result, there's a blind spot somewhere. And so we need to be willing to go back in and figure out, I own this standard that I want. There's something missing and somebody knows. That is my best self-coaching to myself, is somebody knows how to fix whatever it is that I want fixed, because I absolutely refuse to believe that there is any goal that cannot be created. I just refuse to believe that. Now, maybe I cannot be an NFL football player or a basketball player. So I believe that there are some physical restraints, but I might be able to go be an investor in an NFL football team or basketball team or whatever. Like, I could still get into the dream. Does that make sense? It just might require me to let go of something. Got it? Yes? Okay, so now here's where your identity starts to get really interesting, in my opinion. Okay, hey guys, I'm on a live. So when I look at my identity, I'm gonna put ID for identity. This is who I am. You have to put your assessment on yourself. You guys following me? You have to put your assessment on yourself. So when I assess myself, I'm bold. I want to say I'm busy, but I've changed that this year because I've been really busy over the last 2 years, and it's hurt, right? And so I'm not going to claim that because I've fixed my schedule, right? So I do meetings on Monday, Tuesday only, and those are my meeting days. So it's a non-negotiable, and my flex week is a non-negotiable, last week of every month. So, however, see, I already want to go in over here because this is where I've been playing. So I'm attracted to my future identity. Isn't that a great place to be, you guys? So this is your future identity. And honestly, that needs to be your now. You need to live by this. Okay, in hardcore leadership, we call it their contract. So sometimes you'll hear people say their contract. The reason why we have contracts in leadership is because if you operate like this, it fixes your let's call it character defects and puts you into what really works for you. Because all of us have natural born, skill sets, habits, ways of being, characteristics. We have certain characteristics that are great and some of them that are not working for us. Do we agree with that? Right? Do you guys agree with that? There's certain characteristics that work for us. There's certain characteristics that just don't work for us. Right? And so who I am now is bold. I would say, I still think I've got some sloppiness in meetings and KPIs for my company, which is goals. So when I actually look at this, I'm gonna say I've got some medium standards on results. Got it? See how I just went deeper there? So I want you to kind of be doing this right now with me, right? Because this is not about me, this is about you. I'm already doing this. This is why I'm bringing it to the on-demand so that I can get you to start doing this. Because if my habits or my thinking create 8 figures or more, why should that not work for you? Because I'm telling you, it's not the product you sell, it's not the service you offer, it's usually not the model you're in. It has to do with your identity, right? So my identity is I always follow through, no matter how I feel, right? That's my identity. I have an identity that money is easy to make. I developed an identity when I hired a wrong hire that money was hard to keep. because I got hit so hard. So there's identities that comes from trauma, and I don't care who you are, right? Like if there's great leaders out there that have big platforms, I love it when they actually share that for real, because it makes us all realize we're human. But you have to do something about that. Does that make sense? So recently, I've started saying this out loud. This is a mantra I used to say when I was building my business at the beginning, when I was having a hard time generating. I started saying, there's so many people who make money so easily. Money has got to be easy to make. I mean, money's easy to make. Money's just really easy to make, right? And when the hardship kicked in for me and I had my first real hit, I've had hits in other companies, but my first real hit in this company, it got in me a bit. Does that make sense? Where I was like, okay, yeah, money's easy to make because I've been able to make lots of it and continue to make lots of it. But then I had this conversation that money is hard to keep. So what belief in your identity do you know when I'm saying that you must let go of right now? Like you don't even must let go of it. You need to dominate that thought. Right? Where I'm going, I'm right back to saying this now. And it's like riding a bike. It quickly comes back, right? Where I was like, money is easy to make, money is easy to keep. Money is easy to make, money is easy to keep. Well, now my mind goes, well, why is money easy to keep? Because I know where it's going. It's going into an investment vehicle that gives me passive income. Also, why I'm in Savvy for network marketing. Some of you guys know that I joined network marketing last year, right? So I have my 8-figure company, I have another company we're building to sell, and then I have Savvy. When I was talking to the founder yesterday, he said, so much of your income's coming on the upfront enrollment right now. He goes, Shanda, watch what happens 4 years from now. Some of you guys don't like 4-year, 5-year plans. I love them. He goes, in 4 years from now, this whole thing will be subscription based, which is why some of you guys like the idea of memberships. Do you get what I'm saying? But memberships have a high attrition. Network marketing has a high attrition, but if people are making some money in it, they don't ever get off their subscription. Because in our membership products, programs, and services, a lot of times it's educational or working out. Do you guys follow me here? But network marketing, if people make a little bit of money in it, more money than they're paying on their subscription, why would they ever get rid of it? Are you guys following me? It's the ultimate membership. Like the ultimate membership. Do you guys get it? So I want you to be thinking about your strategies, because your goal is up here, right? Your goal is up here. And your identity needs to shift into your future identity, but it needs to happen now. Like it can't be like, I'm going to change this habit. No, you have to. What has made me really trust myself? How many guys need to trust yourself? Put me in the chat. What really, really helped me trust myself is to identify where I was operating from. And it's not like you need a complete shift. You don't. Even if you're down on yourself, you don't. There are certain things that work for you. It works for me to be bold, right? It works for me to always follow through, no matter how I feel, right? It works for me to believe money is easy to make. It works for me, right? What doesn't work for me is medium standards for results in my life. So Ash would say, Shanda, you hold yourself to this standard, you hold everybody else to this standard. Now, if you know Gary Vee, he actually has figured out how to make that work, probably because he's like, the amount of effort to get this standard here for him isn't worth it. So he lets people operate here, and that's what his expectations are. Tony Robbins talks a lot about that. So you guys have heard this stuff before, but you're still getting triggered by stuff that you know that even if you try and fix it, it's not going to get fixed perfectly. And you're either going to spend your time that you can never get back on stuff that is really not going to move at a level that you need it to move at. And so you need to decide what's most important. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes? Got it? So that being said, when I look at the future idea of who I need to be, I must be assertive. I must have playtime with my friends. That might sound really strange. Maria, thank you. Believe it or not, my son's homeschool teacher probably should be my house project manager. She's getting shit done, like big time. I'm like, she's been off, like she doesn't have to be here. Ash, did you get Zach to the pod? No, Ash, you're 2 minutes late. That doesn't work. You get what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So now I have an opportunity. My husband is never going to get my son to the Spanish pod on time, and it's at the exact time of Shant on Demand. Do you get what I'm saying? So I have to change my strategy, or I'm going to kill my husband, which is not a good plan, because I really like the guy, right? And so I have to figure it out, because that's twice now. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because he's project managing a project, and I'm on Shant on Demand during this time. So this is a perfect example of I can beat him up, crush him, take every ounce of dignity from him, or I can realize that he is super stretched, trying to do the impossible in Puerto Rico, but my kid still doesn't get to disappoint his pod by being late. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the reputation I will allow for my son to have, or me as a parent. So now what I'm going to do right now is write myself a note, and I need to come up with a new strategy today, because it's close to the problem. It's close to the problem. If I wait, this is going to happen again, right? Like, I have to do it today, and I need to solve the strategy so that my son gets to the Spanish pod on time. This is exactly how I handle it. This is my identity. I'm assertive. I have playtime with my friends. The reason why this is important is I live in probably one of the best masterminds on the planet, right? I live in a community I live in a country club. There's no slups here. There's nobody that isn't wildly successful. And I seek out the ones that have good marriages, right? They have good marriages and they have good businesses. Because I don't need somebody with a crappy marriage, because that will start to get into me. Do you know what I mean? I'll start looking at my husband differently. If you think for 1 minute who you spend your time with, if you don't admire the people who you spend your time with, you must change them. Because it means you don't just have medium standards, you have low standards. And I will tell you, every problem that I have in my life comes down to standards, period, which comes down to what I believe I deserve. Do you guys get what I'm saying? What I believe is possible, what I believe God's calling is for my life and my experience while I'm here and my contribution. I and you cannot contribute to causes, to churches, to nonprofits, to our children, to our grandchildren. I mean, what if we just got the responsibility of saying, you know what, I'm gonna make so much money that I'm gonna take care of my grandchildren and my grandchildren's children. Like, imagine if you got that you mattered at that level. What would you do differently with your identity? What would you stop tolerating? What standard would get thrown out right now? Maybe it's a future family. Make sense? Are you guys hearing me? Yes? There's nothing that makes me more irritated than someone who attends a church and doesn't contribute in a tithe. I'm like, really? Like, really? And then you're going to sit and judge somebody for not being holy, right? Like, it's like, stop, guys. Like, let's up-level our identity, okay, and get into contribution. So you get this, right? So what do you need to be, right? I need to be relentless on standards, monthly. And honestly, when I say that, it should be weekly, right? I need to hold people where it's like, listen, this is what I need to be playing pickleball. My mom needs to be playing golf so that we're interacting with people, right? My team needs to hit their KPIs. If they can't hit their KPIs, why am I employing them? Right? There's people in my company that want to make more money. Great. Let's develop KPIs that have you not just be working, but actually be like, you know what I mean? Like you're actually creating something bigger than what your role creates, which means that you should get more money now. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, let's do this. Let's do this. Right? And so what is it for you that you need to do to raise your identity? So I'm going to challenge y'all, just like I'm going to figure out the Spanish pod situation. I'm going to challenge you all to work on this today. You already know what needs to happen. And so if you get really stuck, I'll give you this last thing. I'm going to flip over to the on-demand group. If you get really stuck in this identity piece, okay, write down 2 to 3 people that you admire. They don't have to be people you know, or they might be, but I mean really admire. People that have results that feel so not logical to you. Like they're like a dream. They're like a dream. And pick 2 to 3 people, and I want you to write their characteristics, right? So one year I did this with Sarah Blakely. I didn't know who Sarah Blakely was. And I saw this woman on the cover of Forbes magazine, and she was talking about manifesting, right? Manifesting her husband, manifesting, you know, her company, the difference she was going to make in the world. And so I opened up Forbes. I know exactly where it was. I had white couches from IKEA. And I was sitting on my floor in my 2-bedroom apartment in San Diego. And I somehow had a Forbes magazine on my floor, and I was sitting on my floor in my living room. And Sarah Blakely was on the cover of it. I opened it up and I read her story. And so much of her character, like I felt like I was just like her. Have you guys ever found somebody in your life that you're like, I'm really just like this person? Like we have the same heart or same, you know what I mean? But yet she had created $1 billion business and I had IKEA furniture in my house. Okay, vast difference in identity. Okay, Sarah would challenge herself every year to do something physical, and she doesn't like to work out. I was not doing that. I was going to CrossFit because I wanted to be in shape, and my standard was pretty much that, right? What she was doing massive endurance stuff, and she's not even like, athleticism is not her thing. She hates it, right? Or hated it. I don't know if she likes it now, but and she was doing things like, I'll never forget, like I'm afraid of heights, and she like climbed the outside of a hot air balloon in the air. I mean, I would have been throwing up. Anybody else with me? Like I would imagine, have you ever been in a hot air balloon? Like that's actually what made me afraid of heights. So I can't even imagine, when you look outside of a hot air balloon, like everything looks like ants. Like it's not comfortable at all. I can't even imagine the fire going up the balloon and her scaling the outside of the balloon up there, and like, ugh. But that's the difference in standard. And I can admit that. So if I want to create a result like that, I must what? Who do I need to be? I actually need to go back and redo this, because even sharing this with you helps me go, you know what, Shanda, you can freaking do better than this. This isn't just about being assertive. This is about having courage. This is about doing things that nobody else on the planet would ever do. Then who do you think I'm going to be to my team? How do you think my platforms are going to explode? Right? I never forget Grant Cardone saying last year, he said, whether you like him or not, he's actually a really nice guy behind closed doors. And I love that he's going after people who are defaming his character, right? That just talk and don't actually know the details. But I loved what he said. And he said, you want your stuff to grow? Do big things. Everybody's trying to figure out the hashtag game, you know what I mean? And everybody I know, Real Talk Kim going to 1.4, 1.5, Stormy Wellington, $3 million a month on social media. And honestly, they wouldn't even tell you they're doing big things yet. Do you know what I mean? They're still in their process of doing big things. The reason why this is so powerful is because imagine what it would be like if we hung out more. Right? Imagine what it would be like if you hung out with people like that more. What would happen to you? Your identity would change. And it would change because you'd realize that you've got this one run called this life. And what are you doing to optimize it, not just for you, but for all the people who follow you, all the people who want to buy from you, all the people that want to work with you, all the people that maybe want to date you or marry you, all the people that want to invest in you. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you playing a big enough game to experience everything that you could honestly possibly be experiencing in your life called your identity? And the answer that I say to myself is no, I got more in me. How about you guys? How about you guys? Do you got more in you? Do you got more in you, or are you playing the biggest game possible? So I'm going to encourage you. This is such an important exercise to do. And feel free to look at who are the champions in your life that you look at. You're like, oh my gosh, you are such a champion. Get 2 or 3 of them and write the characteristics down. When you look at Sarah Blakely, or you look at Jesse Itzler, or you look at Tony Robbins, or you look at me, or you look at whoever in your life, Ariana Huffington, like whatever it is you look at, it could be your mom, right? It could be somebody in your personal life. When you look at these people, what do you see? What is it that you like about them? If you do that for 2 to 3 people, you're going to see a pattern. That pattern should become your identity board. And you need to live by it every single day, which means it can't be in a journal. There's things in this journal. There's dreams from the Lord. There's like things in this journal that I haven't read since I wrote it in this journal. How well do you think this is going to help coach me to stay in my identity? Not very well. It's great to get clear, but I'm a firm believer and you need to put things up on a wall, up on a board. I have my 2 boards right there. I know exactly what I'm up to. Are you tracking like that? So I'm going to end Shand on Demand like this. I'm going to encourage you to make an appointment right now with yourself in your calendar. Go right now to your calendar, make an appointment with yourself on your calendar, and literally do this exercise. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how you can change your language to take immediate action. It's really that simple. How you can change your language to get immediate action, and how you can change the language of the people around you so that you can create an atmosphere that is like primed for you to be able to do your best work, step into your best identity. On Thursday, I'm going to talk about how do you actually build people into your business? Like, where do you find salespeople, right? You guys, many people have asked me around this. I'm telling you, if you can partner with somebody who's selling for you or being an ambassador for your business, product, or service on a daily basis, how much more revenue could you be creating, and how many more people could you be helping if you took that hat off, right? So on Thursday, I asked my husband to come in and talk about really our recruitment standards, which is connected to ID. Okay, and you can just copy it, right? You can do it messy, just copy it. But remember what I said about what Sarah Blakely had on a big level that created billions. Maybe you don't want to create billions. I'd just say you just not hanging out with enough billionaires, right? Because when you are, you start to realize it's not even about the money. It's who you become. It's who you become. That's the cool part, is who you become. It's not even about the money. The money's awesome, but it's who you become. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to become a better version of themselves. Okay, so I asked Ash to come and train on Thursday. So you will probably see a fun little banter between him and I on Thursday. So come watch marriage and marketing and messaging all in one. But he's going to show you what we do to recruit great salespeople. On Friday, I'm going to go through style flex selling. We have a training on it that I asked Ash and Michael to do years ago. A couple years ago. That's excellent. I'm going to come and show you how do I land my style flexing with different quadrants. Like, why can I go into a group of fitness people and talk their language and style flex and be able to help them, or a bunch of Christians or new age people or whatever it is, right? And feel comfortable in my identity, right? I'm clearly into the Lord. I read John Maxwell's Bible, right? Like, but how can I feel comfortable in any community and help them? Well, I know how to style flex. So it gets me out of my emotions and my judgment, and it puts me into contribution to people. So on Friday, how many of you guys are excited to really get into style flex selling? It's freaking awesome. It's really, really awesome. And it's highly contagious and highly exciting and almost addicting to go out there and sell. And if you know anything about me, I'm a big fan of end-of-day revenue. End of day revenue. So that'll be Friday. And then next week, we're going to do 5 days of revenue. You guys excited about that? Next week, we're going to do 5 days of revenue. So it's going to be really, really fun, like this week and next week. And my intention for you is to get clear on what you want to create over the next 2 weeks. What would it look like if you effectively use these on-demand trainings in your business? Knowing what I just shared with you, I'll repeat this. And I want you to create your own goals because you're the driver, right? And if you put the goal up and use these trainings, you'll be much more effective at it. Can you see that? Yes? Right? But you don't want to just show up aimlessly. You want to know where you're going with this. So tomorrow I'm going to talk to you about changing your language so that you can take immediate action, which gets assertiveness in the game. But also, how do you manage your atmosphere, right? Like, your atmosphere is one of the 3 heavens. There's 3 heavens. And if you can't control your atmosphere and you get triggered, then we got a bit of a problem, right? Because I might not be able to take that trigger, or you might not be able to take that trigger out of your life, right? So how do you really influence other people's language around you as well? Because their language, their words are powerful. They can take you up or take you down. So that's tomorrow at 9 a.m. California time, 12 noon Eastern, 1 o'clock Atlantic. On Wednesday, or on Thursday, how do you raise up people who can sell for you? Okay, like, how do you create an army of people that are out there selling for you, right? How many guys think that would be valuable? Yeah, that would be. And Friday, I'm going to show you style flex selling, which is how do you style flex your own personality so that you can fit into any group, product, service, and really help people. Like, there's nothing worse when you know that you can help someone, but you cannot land your communication. That's awful. And guess what? You're responsible for learning how to close that gap. They're not the ones that are wrong. You're not wrong either, but you are responsible. If you'd like to stop hitting that wall, I'm going to show you how to do that with style flex selling. Next week, I'm going to do 5 days of revenue. 5 days of revenue, and that will be the last 5 days of this month. Sound good? Yes? We good? Yes, yes, yes. All right, you guys. So much love to you. Instagram, I'm going to say bye to you guys. And I'll pop on tomorrow at the same time. So I'll say goodbye to you. And then social media. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.